What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another episode of Steelers War Room Live. We are doing a TDU Live. We are doing a Steelers mock draft, listener-led mock draft. We've got Steeler Nation Australia, Marky D in the house. We've got JJ52 in the house. We've got J Devil in the house. Other people join us when they're in the house. It is awesome to be with you guys live. Got a day off. Sorry, we're kicking off a little bit late. Last time we had a lot of issues with the Steeler listener-led TGU mock draft. That's a mouthful. And so I had to set up a LAN cable, a massive internet cable, across from one side of my house to the other. And I was surprised how tangled those internet cables get. But that assures us with super fast speeds. Look, it's been a really interesting couple of weeks. The Steelers, obviously, a lot of changes happened free agency. Obviously, the depth charts changed a lot. Obviously, the Steelers' needs in free agency have changed in terms of what they still need. But with all of that, the Steelers' draft needs have changed as well. And so that's where we get to where we are today, with the Steelers needing to draft a number of players in a number of positions. Center still an issue. Offensive tackle, still an issue. You've also got wide receiver, still an issue. Some people think cornerback is still an issue. Some people think linebacker is still an issue because we need someone younger there alongside Mark Robb. And then other people still think defensive line is an issue. So you couple all of that together and you get definitely a draft where the Steelers have got to do something and make some stuff happen. And that's all good stuff. That's all good stuff. That's what the draft is there for. You can't, there's a salary cap. You can't put everyone in free agency, nor is everyone in free agency that's going to fill all those different needs. So that's why we get to the Steelers mock draft. That's why you get to listen to mock draft. And Young Woodburning says, do we actually pick up Boyd today? I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy things, like Bell signed with the Steelers today. No, that didn't happen. I hadn't seen Tyler Boyd. I've been busy getting ready for this show, getting a couple of things done this morning for me. But I look at the news right now. I don't see Tyler Boyd there at the moment. And in fact, like there's even posts that say Steelers never even wanted Tyler Boyd. So no, I don't think that that's a rumor. But if someone else can correct me in the live chat if that is a thing, but no, I think that's still all rumors. Young and Woodburning, I think that is all still rumors. So we'll see how it goes, though. I mean, look, they might bring him in. He's the sort of bloke as well, and that's why it's important we do this mock draft now. He's the sort of bloke that you bring in after that first wave of free agency. If you don't get a guy in the draft, if someone doesn't fall to you, if other positions fall to you, and you might have had your eye on a wide receiver, and then you're like, actually, no, perhaps, we need to draft someone else, but we still got the need at wide receiver. So that's kind of that's the situation. He's one of those guys that might fall into that. But Boyd, J Devil brings up correctly. Boyd might be one of those blokes who's asking him more than what teams are prepared to give him, and fair enough. All right. Well, we've given a couple of minutes, so we are going to get into, unless anyone's got other burning questions, we're going to get into the Steeler listener-led mock draft. You guys vote for it. We're going to move quickly. Last time I had a couple of issues in terms of, waiting for the comments and the speed of the draft. We shouldn't have that this time. I've got like 10 times faster internet. So as like our regular listeners and subs know, there's kind of three, I guess, mock draft platforms that I prefer. I don't really prefer PFF. There's another one that a lot of people use that's like bigger names and stuff like that. I prefer Pro Football Network because I think their profiles, their trades, and their rankings is better. I think PFF scale it too much on users' picks. And then I also like NFL Draft Buzz. We will start using NFL Draft Buzz a bit more, but for today's purposes, where I wanted to test your speed, getting everyone through and running the mock draft live for you guys, I wanted to use Pro Football Network again. They're my preferred mock draft platform. But as I say, I do like NFL Draft Buzz. I'm getting more across the NFL Draft Buzz stuff. I like their content and the way you can save the drafts as well. But yeah. Someone was like, well, I mean, we could still hear it tomorrow. Maybe they didn't want to announce it because they did, maybe they did think that, people would take it as an April Fool's joke. But yeah, that's maybe what it was. Steelers trade up to 4. That's a big trade, man. But let's see. We can do it all. So we will bring it up. I will make myself small. So here we go. So we've got the Pro Football Network mock draft. We are obviously picking Pittsburgh Steelers at 20. We'll do it normal pace so we can see it goes off the board. So that way, if you guys want me to trade up a spot, we can try and do that as well. We're going to accept trades. You guys are going to vote on all of that. So we will kick it off. We'll do all 7 rounds. We'll see how we go. Maybe we can get in the second one and we'll do some Q&A, whatever everyone wants and is feeling in the live chat. All right. So I'm going to kick it off and we're going to hit enter solo draft. So here we go. So Caleb Williams is off the board. Drake May is off the board. JJ McCarthy's off the board. Things are moving pretty quick. Alt's off the board. I've seen that rumor of him going to the New York Giants. I'm going to make it bigger for everyone as well. And then we go. More guys coming off the board. And then we get to the Steelers pick. Now, this is kind of interesting. I've seen this trade come up a lot in the mock drafts I've done. I'm sure that other people have seen this as well because New England Patriots have that 34th pick just outside the first round. So I'm going to leave it open to you guys. We've only got one trade offer. Usually you get a couple of trade offers at this point in time. Arizona's one from 27 that you see a lot. You occasionally in the mock draft see Kansas City. Occasionally you see Minnesota Vikings. They probably want to get the most. Now, looking at guys off the board, J.C. Latham off the board, Mims off the board, Quinion Mitchell off the board, Furtado off the board, Fuaga off the board, Terran Arnold off the board. Dallas Turner got drafted well early, probably much earlier than what a lot of people had him going. Roma Dunze went fifth to the Chargers. I've seen that quite a bit. 3 quarterbacks taken very, very quickly. But it was actually Jaden Daniels that fell to Minnesota. They'd be cheering if this happened. But a lot of these top tackles off the board. Jackson Powers Johnson's available there at center. A lot of people on him. Johnny Newton, Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver. So let's see what we're saying. JPJ's there. Michael O'Malley, FMT. So who do we want to pick at number 1? Do we want to take the trade with the New England Patriots? You guys let me know in the live chat. I will do what you instruct me. So someone puts up a prospect and we get more than 3 or 4 of those names in there. That's who we're going to pick. The JPJ is there. We can also propose a trade back if people are keen on that too. But you guys let me know in the live chat. So, best center is still on the board. Number of cornerbacks. And Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean on the board. Tyler Guyton's still on the board. Kean Coleman, who's Shannon White, who I do the global perspective with. He loves him. He's still available on the board. Bo Nix is there if someone wants a quarterback. I don't think the Steelers need a quarterback. Graham Barton, who can play interior and guards on the board. Jared Jebel says JPJ. Anyone have got a different prospect for JPJ? If not, we'll go and pick JPJ. Adonai Mitchell, the Steelers are pretty high on him. He probably doesn't make it into the 50s. So the Steelers need a wide receiver in the first round. He's probably the best guy left on the board. I rate him higher than Coleman. I also think he can be better in the right scheme than Bryce Thomas Jr. out of LSU. But I think we're going to go with J Devil's pick to keep things moving. I think we're going to select JPJ. The Steelers get Jackson Powers Johnson at 23, in the 23rd pick in the NFL draft after the Seahawks went Furtado. The Furtado went to the Colts. And you also saw Jared Verse go to the Seahawks. They went defense, not center, where they still have a need. Pretty crazy. Michael O'Malley says it doesn't matter because Steelers will have 0 caliber NFL QBs. Fine. We could still pick up a QB later in the draft. So let's see. All right. So Steelers pick Jackson Powers Johnson. Kool-Aid McKinstry, top corner, goes off the board. Then Bryce Thomas Jr. goes. Nate Wiggins goes. Brian Murphy II goes. Johnny Newton goes. Chuck Robinson goes. Xavier Worthy does get drafted in the first round ahead of his teammate Adonai Mitchell. As a Longhorns fan, I wouldn't have done that. Malachi Corley, one of my favorites, goes before Adonai Mitchell. And the Rakestraw Jr., another good corner's off the board. Tyler Nubin is off the board. So, I know there's people out there that think he could be a top safety. Lad McConkey gets drafted at 46 by the Ravens. Ruka Okoroho is off the board. Zach Frazier, I think, just went to the Bengals. I'm going to hide it. Yeah, Zach Frazier went to the Bengals. And Edwin Cooper went to the Eagles. That helps them a lot with linebacker. So we do have a trade offer before I get into the available prospects. LA wants to trade us, swap spots. They're picking at 52. They want to trade us for 51 and 119, and we get 99. So we move back 1 spot, but we move up 20 spots. I kind of like that. If it was the Matty-led mock draft, I'd probably take that pick. But I will listen to what you guys have got to say. We're good now that Mitch Berg is gone. Yeah, I agree, George. I 100% agree. So looking at guys on the board, Darius Robinson out of Missouri is there, but I don't really see him. He could be a fit for the Steelers out of Missouri, but I think the Steelers have stronger needs. Javondre Sweat, the massive 360 pounds, 6'4", defensive tackle out of Texas. You get him, you stop the run, you just plug him in there. Karamai Lassiter, who had a visit with the Steelers, I think I saw, out of Georgia there, cornerback. Cameron Kitchens. Patrick Paul is probably the best tackle prospect on the board out of Houston. I like him. He's been definitely rising up the board, 6'7". His agility can be a bit of an issue, but he could be a good player. Michael Hall Jr., who the Steelers are really in on. We saw that at the Senior Bowl. We've seen that since. Another Ohio State DT, can learn from Cam Haywood. That could be a really interesting pick. J-Double says take the trade. So while I keep talking to the prospects, we're going to take the trade. No one else is jumping in right now. So we're going to accept the trade. We've also been offered another trade, which is pick 54 and a third for a 52 and 178. I'm going to just take the executive decision and reject that because we want more picks this year. But thanks very much, Cleveland. In the real life, the Steelers probably take that and then draft back in. But anyway, we've got Michael Hall Jr. on board, defensive tackle. You've got a couple of tight ends. Max Melton is a really good corner out of Rutgers. Chris Jenkins is a really good DT out of Michigan. Braden Fisk, who I love, who I've been talking about him since the start of January before he was on everyone's boards. He's rocketed up. He won't be there in their next pick. So is he the defensive tackle guy over Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State? You've got wide receivers on the board like Roman Wilson. You've also got we already got the corner, so Cedric Van Pran doesn't matter. Junior Colson, my favorite linebacker in this draft, is still on the board. Cole Bishop at safety. There's a bunch of different guys. But Jedel says, nah, kiss it Browns. What's up, Fuzzy Monkey? But yeah, is there a pick that we like here? Is it going to be the defensive tackle like Javondre Sweat, Michael Hall Jr., Braden Fisk? They're three guys that won't be there at the next pick. Do you go get your next cornerback in Kamarai Lassiter? Patrick Paul is pretty much the only right tackle on the board right now, worthy of a second round pick, I would say. There are others I like in the draft, but they're a bit later on. Jeremiah Trotter's still there. DJ James, a good cornerback out of Auburn, still there. Same as Bullock. So there are a few guys on the board, but defensive tackle, there's probably going to be a run that goes if the Steelers don't pick him. JJ52, we picked JPJ, so this is the way. This is it. This is exactly it, Jeddah. As you say, Fisk is great learning behind Cam, but Paul's a huge need. And I like Fisk more than I do Michael Hall Jr. Marky D, we got JPJ. We did get Jackson, Powers, Johnson, JPJ2, a JPJ on offense, a JPJ on defense. Yeah, that's going to become a mouthful. So, yeah, pretty wild. I like Fisk as well. So this is the thing. Is there someone else in the live chat that wants to throw in? Do you want Braden Fisk or do you want Patrick Paul at right tackle? Do you see tackles later on? Do we look at other moves for tackle? What are we sort of thinking there? No, I don't think Shannon wants to play right tackle for the Steelers, but I know who he doesn't want to play right tackle for the Steelers, and that's Broderick Jones. He wants Broderick Jones to play on the left. Pretty disappointing that the Steelers missed out on Leggett as well, and that the Rams got him. So that kind of sucks a little bit. But there's other wide receivers still available on the board. As I said, defensive tackle is going to be a run. Tackles, there's been a massive run on the board right now. So someone throw in the live chat, Braden Fisk or Patrick Paul, or you can throw in DT or right T. You tell me, and we will pick that player. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys moving off the board. Let's have a look while you guys throw that in there. Where did Morgan went? Yeah, so Jordan Morgan went to Washington. So that's a really good move for them. Otherwise, yeah. Kingsley, Salmataya, he went out to San Francisco. He made the first round. That would be pretty wild, but he is moving up a lot of people's draft boards. Top DTs are off the board, and that's why you're going to see a run on DT basically between here at 52 and probably about 70. No, a lot of funny names are gone, mate. A lot of funny. We had Rook. What's his name? Yeah, Rook Ohoroho. There's a few other good names later on. I mean, Cameron Kitchens. Some people might find that one interesting one. But yeah, we need Patrick Paul or Braden Fisk. Yeah, I like that. I like that as well, Devil. JJ says draft the best right tackle, then move Jones to left tackle. That's what I kind of like that too. Then pick wide receiver. Fair enough, JJ. I kind of see that as well. That does make a lot of sense. But yeah, all right, so we've got one for Fisk. We've got one for right tackle. And Christian Jones is there later as well. he will be drafted a lot higher than people think he will be at the moment, or at least that these mock drafts have him. I could flip a coin. I need to find a coin. But yeah, Marky D, who do you want? Do you want Patrick Paul, the tackle, or do you want Braden Fisk, the massive defensive lineman? You tell me. Coin flip. I could try and bring up a spin the wheel. We could do that. I love these. It's the tiebreaker. I love this though. People this is good content because this is what happens in the draft room. All right, we're drafting Fisk. We're drafting Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle. We draft the 68th best player on the board at 52, but he's going to be a lot better than that. Braden Fisk goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers defensive line gets massive and gets beefy. Van Pran's gone. Peyton Wilson's gone. Cameron Kitchen's gone. I think he will go to the Bills. Michael Jr. goes to the Bengals. Interesting. Ricky Pearsall's off the board. Max Melton's off the board. Patrick Paul goes 14 spots later at 66. Cole Bishop's off the board. Kalen Carson's off the board. Christian Mahogany. Jonathan Brooks. He's one of the better running backs. Renato Green. Leonard Taylor III is off the board. Defensive tackle to the Ravens. Austin Booker. I like Austin Booker. He's off the board to the Colts. Brant, I think now we've got 2 trade offers, but Brandon Dorse went out of Oregon, goes to LA. So we've got true trade offers. You can trade 84 for 111 and a 2025 New York Jets 3rd round pick. I don't really like that, but you guys can tell me to accept the Jets pick. And then the Bengals have offered us 115, 149, and a 3rd next year, which you'd use to just trade straight back in if we wanted to do that. For pick 84 and pick 178. I kind of don't like giving the Bengals a leg up, though. Now, while you guys tell me whether to take either of those trades, on the board, Junior Colson's available. Again, if it was Matty-led draft, I'd be picking him straight away. I think getting linebacker help's really important. If we look at Jeremiah Trottis on the board, Blake Corum's on the board, the good running backs, so is Braylon Allen. There's about to be a run on running backs. I'll tell you that as soon as we select the pick. That is going to be happening. Dominic Pooney, I've also seen him moving to tackle, not staying a guard in the NFL. He could be a right tackle option, so just throwing it out there. I love James Williams, the safety linebacker out of Miami, 6'5", over 220 pounds. I think he's a safety in the NFL, but people have made him get beef up so he can be a linebacker as well and get drafted higher. Josh Newton, a cornerback, I really like him out of TCU. Some Steel fans are really high on Blake Fisher. I'm not, out of Notre Dame. Mason Smith out of LSU's rocketed up the boards. He always was. He was someone that you get real value a month or two ago in the mock drafts in the 6th round. I like Jaden Hicks out of Washington State. I think he's the 211 bruiser. Yeah, he's pretty good. Michael Pratt is probably the best quarterback left out of Tulane. There's a bunch of wide receivers still available on the board. Cornerback and Kyrie Jackson. But if you're looking at value at this point, where the Steelers are picking Junior Colson, maybe Bullard out of Georgia, but I don't think Bullard, with his size, gives the Steelers anything additional to what they need. If I go back into defensive and I'll just check. I'm not picking him that high. I'm not going to pick him that high. Jed says keep the pick. Good. Well, we'll reject both those trades. So we've done that. We've rejected both the trades. So looking at cornerback, is really TCU's cornerback, but I think this is an overdraft of him. I think he'll slip to our later round pick. Remember, we did trade up, so we do have 98 and 99. He probably is. We could pick him there at 99 because remember we traded back 1 spot and moved up 20 spots. So that does make it pretty awesome from that perspective. We look at offense. We still have that need at tackle. Kieran, I'm going to destroy his last name. I apologize. So the tackle out of Yale is there. Goncalves is out of there, out of Pittsburgh. Christian Jones, my dude's there. We got pick 178, hopefully sitting there. He's ranked 182. We've already picked center. We got JPJ, so that's not really what we need. Cooney, as I said, you could push him out. Otherwise, there's not a lot of other prospects to push out. There's a quarterbacks there in Rattler, Pratt, and Travis. Steelers have got 2 quarterbacks. That's not the need. We haven't picked a wide receiver yet. Jalen McMillan out of Washington's on the board. I knew Polk. I do think Polk will go earlier on draft day. Devontae Walker, who didn't have the best combines out there. Johnny Wilson, the 6'7" freak out of Florida State's there. Jermaine Burton, who, if I look at these 5 or 6 guys, apart from McMillan, Burton's probably the guy I like the most. I saw an article, I think it was on Shannon White's Fan First Sports, The Steelers had eaten dinner with a bunch of Bama players. But you still have guys like Brennan Rice later and Javon Baker and Luke McCaffrey and Jacob Cowing. There's plenty of guys late at wide receiver as well. But, I mean, yeah, you've got Junior Colson. Showed the pick for MVP Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I think we got Russ. We'll be all right. So what are we going to do? Is someone going to throw a prospect name in there? We're going to Junior Colson. We're going to Jermaine Burton and Jalen McMillan. We go really high and drop Theo Johnson. You'll probably shoot me in the head if I do that. Do we go? We've already got defensive tackle. That's not a need. I don't think edge is really a need at this point when you've got Lowry. Cornerback, Josh Newton, we can probably get him in the 90s. Remember, we got pick 94 and we got pick 90. We got pick 98, sorry, and pick 99. Got 2 picks. We'll probably get a trade offer in one of those picks, so we may want to consider that. Kyrie Jackson's still available on the board. Hicks, the safety's on the board. Shannon says wide receiver or Collison. So he means Colson. I'm liking Colson. There's a safety out of Maryland. I don't know too much about Bo Braid, but I like some other safeties in this draft. But maybe we can go pick Blake Corum. What about that, Shannon? We'll pick Blake Corum out of Michigan. They do need one. That is very, very true. But there's some guys late. Marky D says, I got no idea. Marky D, do you want a running back or a line? Do you want a linebacker? Probably not a running back. Or a wide receiver. I think that's the thing. J Devil says Colson. That's who we're going to go with. We're going to go Colson. J Devil gets his picks again. Jeremiah Trotter goes straight away after. So that's very interesting. Blake Fish off the board. Glaze off the board. That all my wow. We're just going to pause the draft. We're going to pause the draft here before we get to our picks. So we picked Colson. Then the Browns went and picked Trotter Jr. to pair alongside Devin Bush. Have fun making a tackle. Steelers running backs are going to have a field day. McMillan goes to the Texans. That kind of sucks. They don't need any more help on offense, but there we go. Blake Fisher goes to Cowboys. They do need tackle help. Kind of a surprise. Same as Green Bay. Green Bay get Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. I mean, has there ever been a better match? They need a linebacker. He's a bruising linebacker. I just think that's a fantastic match. But we had a run of 3 running backs in a row for teams that needed them. Blake Corum, big help for Murray, Kyler Murray out there in Arizona. Partner with James Conner, he can do that kind of stuff too. They're good picks there. Then Bullard goes to Tampa Bay to pair with some of their safeties. That's going to be a bit lookout. Bo Braid from Maryland stays in the state. Moves pretty close in going to Baltimore. Kalen Bullock goes to San Francisco. That's not helpful for anyone trying to play offense against San Francisco. KC are about to pick. So are the Jags. So are the Ravens. And then we've got a double Steelers pick. So we will hit resume on the draft. But this is getting pretty interesting. Here we go. Resume. And then, so there you go. There's that tackle off the board. Pooney's off the board. Okay. We now got another offer. We got pick 98 and a Washington 7th for 115 with the Bengals and a Cincy 4th next year, which again, in real life, Steelers probably would use that to trade back in. We can go down that route if you want, but it will get complicated on the show. We also have an offer for 111 and 134 for pick 98. Now remember, we do have, we've also got to give up Washington 7th next year. We do have pick 99. So this could be kind of good trade to get because we move back to one of those picks that we get, but we get a bonus one because remember we traded 119 to move up the 20 spots to 99. I kind of like that because I think we haven't filled enough needs yet and there's good prospects on the board. JJ says no trade. So I'm going to need 2 people to say accept the trade for us to do the trade. So 2 people throw in the live chat. If you want to accept the trade, I'll accept it. But I need 2 people to do it to outweigh JJ. Or if someone puts no, then we're going to need 3 people in the live chat to do it to outweigh JJ on that one. But JJ, I kind of agree with you. I like getting top prospects and then trading back in late. If I was really Omar Khan. But I do see value. Mikey D says no trade, stuff the Jets. But J Devil, exactly. It is kind of a good trade, right? Like we originally were going to be picking 119. We're still 8 spots ahead there. We also get a pick 134 to get a mid-round guy. So if a prospect falls, or we can move out of that spot. So, all right, J Devil said no trade. Then we got we got 3 people saying no trade. I kind of probably would have done that, but it's not Matty's mock draft. This is the live listener mock draft. So we were going to accept that trade offer. It is your draft. You make the decisions. It's your pick, your own adventure. We reject the trades. All right. So now we've got to pick some players, right? We've got to pick 2 players. Now, the next pick, we might get an offer. So that's kind of interesting as well. I'm going to run through it position by position. Quarterback, Rattler, Pratt, Travis are on the board. Probably the only guys worthy of that pick. Running back, Shipley's probably the only guy, but the Steelers really don't need a running back. Wide receiver, we haven't picked that bloke yet. Tez Walker, Burton are on the board. Malik Washington, is on the board. Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's kid, big kid at USC, is on the board. Jacob Cowling's there. They're kind of the main prospects at the position. Tight end on the board. There's Cade Stover, Theo Johnson. I love Theo Johnson. This is why I would trade back to 111 because I'd go grab Theo Johnson. The Steelers do need another tight end. Doesn't matter what anyone tells you. They do need another tight end, and they need a pass-catching tight end. Gon Calvez is on the board. Same as Christian Jones at tackle. I'm not the biggest fan of Von Foster. I don't know too much about Greenfield and being really transparent, so can't really recommend him. Don't mind Coleman out of TCU, but still don't really need interior line help right now. Or that's a less of a need. We've already picked the center, so we're not going to go there. DT, we've already picked the DT, but Mason Smith's on the board. The Steelers need help across the defensive line. Edge, there's a couple of guys there, but again, not really the Steelers' biggest need. We have picked a linebacker, but you could go get James Williams to be a safety linebacker hybrid. That lets you play Deshaun Elliott in the slot more as well. Gives you a guy to mark up on tight ends. But I also like Jalen Ford out of Texas, being a Longhorns fan. I also like Trice Knight out of University of Texas, El Paso as well. So they're 2 guys that you could pick. Steelers, we haven't picked a cornerback yet. Kyrie Jackson's on the board. Kalen King's on the board. But this would be overdrafting these guys by 20 or 30 spots. And safety, we already talked about James Williams. Jaden Hicks is another guy on the board, same as Tyreek Smith and Kyton Oladapo. Kind of feels like we maybe should accept the trade. But is there anyone there that anyone likes? J-Double says smash me sick jersey. That's funny. But yeah, like this is kind of the thing now, the Steelers. I mean, now you do have Tez Walker there, 81. We'd be picking at 98. RIS score, relative athletic score of 9.92, huge, 6'1" to 6'2", 193 pounds. The only knocks on him are route tempo, doesn't have elite sync, lacks high-end stopping ability, tends to let the ball into his torso. I thought he had I don't think he's had the best draft process, I will say that. I think he's slipped from a 2nd-round pick to a 3rd to 4th-round pick. But it's up to you guys. You is the listener, live listener. George Shetland says best player available. I like this. No one's talking BPA. No one's talking BPA. But remember about BPA? We always want BPA at need as well. And this is the problem about where the Steelers are picking right now. But Tez Walker is 81. It is 98. So unless anyone's got any challenges there, we do need a wide receiver. We might well go best player available in Tez Walker. I'm going to give a countdown. I'm going to count 5. If no one throws in the live chat, we are picking Tez Walker out of North Carolina. I'm calling 1. It's like an auction. I'm calling 2. I'm calling 3. Tez Walker will be a Pittsburgh Steeler with this pick. And then we'll probably offer a trade. No, we'll all want to trade back. 4, 5, Tez Walker is a Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers run the car up, get their wide receiver. All right, here we go. Straight away, we get a trade offer. Straight away, because we have pick 99. Washington 7th, pick 99 for an Arizona 104 and an Arizona 162. So 104th, 162. So move back 5 spots, but get 162. That could be helpful for getting that tackle. Also, Minnesota have offered us 108, no Washington 7th, which we might want to use that later to come back into the draft toward the end of the draft. So they've offered us pick 108 and pick 177. So what do we want? Do we want to trade 7th, which really doesn't matter, like for 104, 162, or do we go 108 and 177? The Arizona one's a pretty interesting one. That's better. Even though giving up 7th, that is better value than the other trade we've been offered. So up to you guys on what you want to do. Do we go the Arizona trade? Do we go the Minnesota trade? Do we go no trade? Pick 99, JJ Watt. Now that's called JJ52. But even if you tell me what positions you want to take it? Jed, which one do you want me to take? Do you want to take Arizona or do I take Minnesota? We're going to take Arizona, 104, 162, or 108. Or you want to take Minnesota's pick? Interesting. Okay. We don't want to trade the 7th. Okay. Well, that's what we're going to do because no one's challenging me here. I'm going to wait 1 second. Do we have a challenge? Yeah, so Arizona was 104 and 162. I'll bring it up. Versus 108 and 177. But you give up a Washington 7th for the Arizona trade. Okay, cool. We're going to take we're going to take Arizona then. Cool. All right, so we're going to take Arizona with that. All right, so Steelers move back. They picked Tryon Hopper. Jaden Hicks is off the board. Jalen Wright's off the board. Another safety's off the board. Spencer Rattler is off the board. Now, this is really interesting. So we've moved back to 104 and got 162. And now Minnesota have come back with the same offer that they gave us before. But instead of trading like the one pick there, we got 162. They've offered us 108 and 177. So if we take this trade, we've effectively given ourselves 3 picks for the 1 pick that we had to trade. Well, actually, well, technically 2 because we had to trade the Washington 7th. That's it, JJ52. That's it. So do we want to take this trade? Now, Jed Evil, you've got the complexity. Do you want to trade the Minnesota trade now as well? Or do we just pick a player and the Steelers just try and get a prospect? You guys will let me know what you want to do. But it is an interesting situation that the Steelers find themselves in with this particular trade offer because it's a chance to get back at another prospect in the draft, another prospect, which could be huge for the Steelers as well. So what are we going to do with this one? I kind of like it. I probably would take this just because you're getting 177. Market E, do I take the trade? J Devil, do I take the trade? JJ, do you want me to take the trade and try and get a right tackle? You got. All right. I don't know what happened there, but I accidentally jumped out for some reason. I don't know what happened. But we're back. We're back. We're back online. I accidentally pressed the back button on my mouse, and that actually ported me out. I didn't think the back button worked. It never works when I want it to work, but it did. It backed me right out of the thing. Anyway, we are right back here. We're back happening. Stuff my back. All right, J Devil says, stuff it. We're not going to take the trade. Bye-bye. So Steelers, now I got to pick a player. So we look on the board. James Williams, linebacker, safety. Florida State's ginormous 6'6", 6'7" wide receiver, Johnny Wilson, 230 pounds. Jermaine Burton out of Alabama, wide receiver for the board. Now remember, we did get Tez Walker with our pick 98. Mason Smith, defensive tackles out there. Kalen King is probably the best cornerback on the board right now. We didn't pick a cornerback yet. Kyrie Jackson's on the board as well. So that's kind of interesting. Same as Cam Hart. We haven't picked a safety. Whether you think the Steelers need a safety is another issue. And they've also picked a lot of the best safeties are off the board. Tyreek Smith's probably a bit of a smaller bloke. Offense, quarterback, Michael Pratt is on the board. He is my favorite mid-round quarterback. Later, we've got Joe Milton on the board. We still don't have that right tackle, though. And tight end, you've still got Theo Johnson, Cade Stover, Wiley, Eric All, who I like out of Iowa. Goncalves is still available as well. We've still got their punter, so we don't really need that. Boswell's under contract, so we don't really need that. Running back, I kind of like Bucky Irving, but he's a small, twitchy guy. Not really what the Steelers need with all their needs. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Is there a position that you guys want to draft? Jedel says Goncalves. Interesting. Doesn't like my Christian Jones. Let's actually look at that, how many tackle prospects on the board. He's the best tackle prospect left on the board. So if we don't draft him, there's a good chance by one, I'd almost be willing to bet money that by 162, he is not available anymore. J Devil says Concalves. Has anyone else got a different opinion? I actually think the Steelers need a running back. I do actually think they need that because then you can make a decision properly on Najee. And Jalen Warren will be off contract soon enough as well. So let's see. But I mean, I don't think any of the ones worth joining the Steelers are really left, unless Wright might still be there. No, he went just before. Yeah, he went to Tennessee. He's probably the running back. I like the best left. Ray Davis is all right out of Kentucky. But yeah, there's not really anyone else there. Actually, South Dakota State's, yeah, Isaiah Davis is an interesting prospect as well. I should say that. Yes, he does, George. He 100% does, to the point that I've heard that it is going to be an interesting situation for even Connor Haywood because he likes a bigger FB. This is one of the problems, though. When you draft on Pro Football Network like this, they don't usually break FB out from. Sometimes they'll list the guys at tight end, and sometimes they'll list them at wide receiver. So, like the Cade Stover, for example, at his 6'3" and 247, you could argue he's more of an H-back, fullback, and will be that in the NFL rather than a tight end. Tip run, no. There's a couple of other guys. I think Trey Knox is a big receiving guy. Yeah, I mean Trey Knox 246.3. He's another guy. But there's some. They listen at running back as well. So I think the guy out of San Jose State. I'm gonna mix it up. But yeah, that's the only problem with Pro Football Network's mock drafts. Yeah, I actually think what Marky D says there. I think Washington will play. I think they'll line up fullback. I do. I want to fullback in Madden. It's fun. But yeah, I mean, look, the Steelers do have to pick. Goncalves is the best tackle on the board. Devil's throwing his name out. Interior guy, I like Leighton Robinson as well. I think he can be a really good player. We already have Pooney go. Quarterbacks there. If we want to get another young guy. Cornerback is there. We have not filled cornerback yet. Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky, but I kind of like out of these guys, Kalen King and Kyrie Jackson. So, yeah, let's sort of see. But Jedel says Goncalves. Anyone else for another position? Or the Steelers will be drafting Matt Goncalves out of Pittsburgh. They keep the big tackle in Pittsburgh from the University of Pittsburgh. I think we're going to draft him. I think the Steelers are going to draft him. Jaden Dan. Yeah, and Jaden Dan was one at the start. You're on OT. All right, Steelers picking it. Jedel called it. Matt Goncalves. Trice Knight went 105th. Not surprised there. Kalen King is gone. Jermaine Burton is gone. James Williams is gone. Michael Pratt is gone. Malik Washington is gone. So a lot of those prospects we talked about for the Steelers are gone. Jalen Thorne out of Texas. Brendan Rice. Jerry Rice's kid goes to the Ravens. Kyrie Jackson goes to Oregon. Andrew Phillips goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Cade Stover goes to San Francisco. Mason McCormack. Jeremiah Thrash goes. Javon Foster goes. Javon Baker. So if Theo Johnson falls here at tight end, he could be very, very helpful. Theo Johnson's just gone to Atlanta. I should have shut my big fat mouth. Luke McCaffrey's gone. Jonathan Dixon's gone. Patrick McMorris is gone. Daquan Hardy out of Penn State's gone. Jaheim Bell out of Florida State. Decent T's gone. Gabe Hall, one of my favorite DTs late in the draft. He's gone. And the Steelers have now been offered a trade. 162 and a 7th next year for 164 and 249 to move back 2 spots but get pick 249. Do you guys want to accept the trade? 249 is pretty late, but they could be. I have a sneaky late pick that I'd love to throw at you guys if he's still sitting there then, and a guy that could be a UDFA. The Steelers take this pick, or do we just pick a player at 162 and be done with it? Joe Devil, Any thoughts? George Teston, any thoughts? Oh, you want to keep the pick? Okay. We'll keep the pick then. We'll keep this moving. We're going to reject it. All right. So now the Steelers got to pick a player. Christian Jones is on the board. Can play left. Can play right. Really good tackle. I can't advocate for him enough. Jacob Cowling's probably my favorite wide receiver on the board, but he's a bit of a Calvin Austin type. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Jaquan Jackson can be a speedster out of a deep route runner out of Tulane. Cornelius Johnson, he's a pretty decent player out of Michigan. Jordan Whittington, he just suffers from being in a good wide receiver class. Steelers apparently met with him as well in the last 24 to 48 hours, I heard. I've been constantly picking him in the 6th round throughout the NFL mock draft process. He is a Longhorn. I do like him. I think he'll be good in the NFL. He's a good wide receiver. He's just in a really good wide receiver class, and he was behind Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, so he gets squashed down the list. Tight end Eric All out of Iowa is a really good player. He's going to convert really well to the NFL. We know Iowa tight ends do that. He's 6'4", pretty pacey, 252 pounds. Not a bad player at all. There's a couple of inside guys like Javian Cohen, Satoa Lamia. I like him out of Utah. The centers, Drake Nugent's probably the best guy there out of Michigan. I don't know why he's so low on this board. DT, Keith Randolph Jr., a Bo B out of Alabama are probably your best guys there. Edge, Xavier Thomas out of Clemson could be an interesting guy for you, but really the Steelers have got that guy in Herbig. Linebacker, Tommy Eichenberg's there, but I really am not an Eichenberg guy. Cornerback, which we still haven't picked yet, remember? So we haven't picked that yet. So that's kind of interesting. Two is that you don't have really probably the best guy on the board, Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn in terms of prospects that I know. Tahib still could be interesting out of Maryland. For those that watch a lot of Pittsburgh University football, you guys might like MJ Devonshire as well. Elijah Jones is there, the best prospect out of Boston College, but like we're starting to get to the dregs at this position. I don't think Dino's in this draft. I think Dino's in next year's draft. Yeah, I feel like we know about that. But yeah, and he'll probably go undrafted anyway. Storm Duck. There you go, Marky D. There's a name for you. Miles Battle and Storm Duck. They're two cornerbacks. We could look at the Canadian Football League. You were talking about that earlier with Chase Claypool. Quantez Stiggers out of the Canadian Football League. He could be the guy you go and get. Looking at safety, I do like Kyton Oldapo, however you pronounce the name. I apologize to him. He is a really good tight end, a guy to mark up against tight ends. I also really like Trey Taylor for this reason out of Air Force, but this would be a bit of an overdraft at 162. So yeah, Mr. Duck, Mr. Storm Duck. I think they can get him as a UDFA. Running back on the board, the Purdue kids, all right. Tyrone Tracy. Kamani Vidal out of Troy is not a bad player either. So it's kind of, you got Jalen Coker out of Holy Cross. He's not a bad player apparently. But I mean, some of these guys are 40 to 50 spots difference to where the Steelers are picking right now. So this 162 pick is proving probably a little bit difficult. I do kind of think Eric All could be a really interesting pick for you here. A lot of people have mocked Brevin Span forward to the Steelers in this pick. So yeah, we should see. Carson Steele. Which guy? I think there's a Carson. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. Jonah Ellis, an edge rusher. He's the best edge rusher on the board. No defensive tackle. You go get Keith Randolph Jr., who played at Illinois next to Johnny Newton, who went in the first round. Oh no, we got to go back. Oh no, I stuffed it up. We're 45 minutes in, and I ruined it. I ruined the mock draft. I ruined the mock draft. Oh, what a crack up. JJ, I would have picked Whittington. I like Whittington. I think he's better. That's a good take, JJ5 too. What a classic. Well, I'm going to click it again and we'll just go fast and we'll just go through and pick it again. There we go. I have not been good on my control panel today. I've exited the show once and we went forward and accidentally clicked the tab the second time. So we're going to go again. I'm going to run it because I deeply apologize. So here we go again. No trades. We'll just run through it. All right. No trades. That's fair enough, J-Double. So Jackson Bowers Johnson in this draft that we've just restarted. I can't get over that. He goes to 16th. The best prospects on the board are Fatanu, Mims, Latham, Wiggins, DeJean, Tyler Guyton. So do you guys want Fatanu, Mims, Latham, basically? You guys let me know. Otherwise, I can just pick them and you can see what I get. J-Double says Mims. Anyone else? Yeah, well, actually, George, I broke it the other day. So I think I actually need to get a new one. So Marketing wants O-line. I think most people want Mims. Let's just put Mims there. Let's put Mims there. Fatanu would be moving. He's probably going to be a better guard in the NFL. Let's pick Mims. Steelers get another Georgia Bulldog at tackle. Move Broderick to left tackle. JJ, we did get pick 52 for LA and 155. The other draft pick we got is 58 and 126. I kind of like that, moving back 5 spots. Ruka Horoho's on the board, and Rakestra's on the board. Malachi Corley's on the board. Chris Bracewell's on the board. There's a lot of good guys on the board. Draft O-line only. So it's up to you guys. I mean, you said no trades. We'll just take the LA trade. We'll just take the LA trade. That'll make it easier. They picked Ennis Rakestraw. Won't take that trade. So we have Patrick Paul on the board. We have Michael Hall Jr. on the board. We have Chris Jenkins on the board. We have Malachi Corley, one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft, is on the board. Ruka Horoho is on the board. Cameron Kitchen's on the board. Patrick Paul, that good tackle like we talked about the first time around, is on the board. Max Melton's the top corner on the board. Xavier Leggett's on the board. So where do we want to go? Do we want to go wide receiver? Do we want to go DT? Do we want to go cornerback? Because Leggett and Corley wide receiver. Yeah, see, I really like Corley and Leggett. So do you want the guy that's like basically like literally a spitting image of the mental blank. The good wide receiver out of not Ayuk, the other wide receiver out of San Francisco 49ers, or do we want a big-bodied pass catcher that's just going to destroy people down the field? Malachi Corley can do anything. So Malachi Corley running back in a wide receiver's body. What do we want? Leggett. Debo. That's it. Debo Samuel. I knew it was Samuel, but I didn't want to say Curtis Samuel. I know it's not Curtis Samuel. Do you want Curtis Samuel or do you want big-bodied wide receiver? You want Debo? All right, we'll pick Debo. Malachi Corley is a Pittsburgh Steeler. I love the pick. He's going to be amazing out of Western Michigan. All right, pick 84. We got trade offer. I know we said no trades. I'm just throwing out there 121, 136, 207, and a Denver 4th. That's a pretty big trade. Or Cleveland will take our 195 and our 84, and they will give us 85 and 156. They probably want Rook Ahoroho, who has fallen to 84, pick prospect number 48, and Braden Fisk is on the board. So we'll still get one of those two guys. We'll still get a good defensive end if that's what you want. Sorry, George. I will give you a right of pick on a future one. So do we want to take Cleveland's pick? I'm being very careful on my mouse. Do we want to take Cleveland's pick, or do we just want to keep our spots, pick our players, move on? It is moving up It's moving up 39 spots in the mid rounds. So back from late in the 6th, moving back into the 5th. I think 156 is technically. I still love this one. I still love this remark. Yep, 701. Take the Browns pick. All right, that's what we're doing, JJ. So we're going to reject Denver and we're going to accept Cleveland Browns. All right, they picked Javon Bullard, the safety. So that was interesting. They left just both top DT choices. I don't think Cleveland know what they're doing, but most of us think that. Denver's come back and still offered us the same pick, but we need a good player. There's Ricky Pierce on the board. There's defensive guys on the board. We already picked wide receiver, though, so we're going to reject that one. Do we want Ruka Horo? I know there's a big fandom out of him. Or there's Braden Fisk, who we picked last time. Did we just pick Braden Fisk and be done with it? Jedel says Fisk. We picked Fisk last time. We're going to go Fisk to keep things moving. I don't think any of us really liked the last draft. Maybe I did us a favor. Then the Browns have come back to us and offered one R98, a seventh, but they're 190, 195. That's moving almost 100 spots down the board, moving 97 spots down the board. But you get a Cleveland third and a Cleveland sixth, which you then use the third to trade back in real life save the complexities of this mock draft and me stuffing it up. We're going to reject that one, and we're going to keep moving. All right. So in terms of prospects on the board, we pick at 98, then we're picking 21 picks later at 119. You look at the guys on the board right now. Mike Sainstrel, the good slot corner out of Michigan's there. James Williams, the linebacker safety's there. Josh Newton, the cornerback is there. Mason Smith, the defensive tackle is there, but we just picked one. Hicks, the safety, is there. On offense, Michael Pratt's there, and so is Spencer Rattler, the two quarterbacks. We haven't picked tackle yet. Goncalves is still there, but this would be a massive overdraft of Goncalves, and Christian Jones, we've got that guy late. Pooney, I think, could play tackle in the NFL as well. He's picked 19. He's ranked 96th best prospect, but at least he can play interior. He can play anywhere basically bar center, so he could be an interesting prospect to draft at this point. Brownie Sunday. I think I'm missing something. Defense. Again, you've got some defensive tackles on the board in Mason Smith, Dwayne Carter, Miko Wingo, Tyler Davis. Linebacker, so we've got James Williams, Jalen Ford. Remember, we haven't picked the linebacker yet. We've picked Fisk, Malachi, Morris, Mims. Williams can play safety and linebacker. But you've also got Jalen Ford late. There's a bunch of running backs on the board. Jalen White, Bucky Irving, Audric Estemi out of Notre Dame. So there's those guys available as well. Tight end, Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State, 61st best prospect at 98. That could be huge. The Steelers do need another pass-catching tight end. Brownies, I get you now. My bad, JJ52. My bad. But yeah, there's a couple of cornerbacks on the board. Sainstrel's ranked 98. It's pick 98. It's not overdrafting at that point. So up to you guys on what we want to do. Do we want to go cornerback? Do we want to go tackle? Do we want to go wide receiver again? I think it'd be probably the overdrafting one. Do we go tight end? Get one of the best prospects on the board in Ben Sinnott, relative athletic score of 9.72. Really good route tree, really good receiver, had an awesome combine. You guys tell me who you want to pick. And we'll try and rock it through, and I will not screw up this draft this time. I love it. I love the randomness. It's good fun. It's really, really good fun. I was really annoyed that I screwed up our last draft. So yeah, that is definitely on me. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, Ben Sinnott, that's a hard thing for the Steelers to turn down there, a tight end, a really good prospect that falls. And that's one of the considerations on draft day, because then you've got a guy like cornerback in mind, Sainstrel. You literally fixed your cornerback position. Totally. I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to go get Penix Jr. or Bo Nix or something, because I don't think this Deshaun Watson thing is at all working out. I think this is a big problem. So yeah, what are we going to do? I know it's another, and that's a fair point. It's just my reasoning of why they need another TE is Darnell Washington's not proved he can catch the football. Connor Hayward's really a fullback, maybe H-back at best. And Pat Freemuth gets injured a lot, even though he can do both. And I think we need to lessen, and exactly, he's probably gone next year. So that's why I kind of like Ben Sinnott there, but I also really like Theo Johnson. JJ says J-Devil says Sainstrel. Anyone else? I mean, JJ52, is there a name that you like a tight end? Because then we can have another coin flip. Otherwise, Sainstrel could be a good thing. But tight end, the thing is, at least in this version, we've got 119 and still. So we could still go get Theo Johnson. and get Sainstrel now. So that could be the interesting decision we make there. But I kind of do like the idea of getting Sainstrel and filling that need. And the Steelers have met with him. He's a prospect that they like. They liked him at the Michigan Pro Day by all accounts. Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, I do like Eric all late. So let's go Sainstrel now, and let's see whether Theo Johnson can fall to us. A lot of cornerbacks are flowing off the board. Ooh, interesting pick. Las Vegas have offered us 120 and 229 for 119. It's only moving back one spot. Considering all the players available, Michael Pratt's there. That's who they're probably going for. They're probably going for that quarterback because they haven't picked one yet. They have picked Fuaga, Corum, and Renato Green. So they probably want Michael Pratt. So I'd kind of think draft Michael Pratt. Why don't we do this, though? They probably want Michael Pratt. So I'm going to counter offer them. Instead of 229, I'm going to ask them for 208. They accepted it. So we moved up 21 spots, and they picked Malik Washington. Interesting. So they picked Malik Washington, but we've got 208. They did not pick Michael Pratt. So see you later, mate. So we've actually just got another draft pick. I thought we could probably get. I didn't want to be too greedy. I could have been, going and trying to get an even one further on, but then we'd be back and forth on that. Yeah, nice choice. But yeah, you can move up and down on this one. We don't have a trade offer here. So when we look at our picks so far, we're picking at 155 again, 156, 178, and 208. So we still have 5 spots, 5 picks still on the board. We picked cornerback, we picked defensive tackle, we picked wide receiver, we picked OT. We probably do need a linebacker. I'm going to throw that out there again. Jalen Ford out of Texas is there at 121. That's the prospect he's worth. I also like Trice Knight. They're my 2 guys probably left on the board that I think are worth drafting. Cornerback Kyrie Jackson's there, but remember the Steelers got Dante Jackson. They got Joey Porter. They're probably going to bring back Patrick Peterson. We did just draft Mike Sainstrel. Then we've got obviously Corey Trice coming back from injury. They got Darius Rush. There's a lot. That's a pretty good like cornerback room that we've got right now. So yeah, that's kind of. But you've got Jaden Hicks there, who's a really good safety. And with Deshaun Elliott maybe now not having to fill in so much at slot because they bring back Patrick Peterson and when we've drafted Mike Sainstrel, the pressure to get Jaden Hicks sort of changes. On offense, wide receiver, Brendan Rice is still out there, but he might be there at pick 155. Luke McCaffrey is worthy at pick 155. So is Cowing. So Thrash is still there. I know everyone in the live chat loves Thrash. But again, he's a smaller, faster, twitchier guy. I wonder about linebacker here. I think it would be helpful to have another linebacker. Trade for the Crims. Isn't that usually what the Raiders do? So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to make an executive decision, but I do like Jalen Ford. I do like the idea of Michael Pratt though, and getting the 3rd quarterback there at 120. Could be really, really helpful for the Steelers team. Or you want Hicks, Daredevil. Interesting. I don't mind that. I think the Steelers need all the safety help they can get. So, yeah, if we think Hicks is better than getting Jalen Ford and Trice Knight later, I'm happy to take that. I'm happy to go Jaden Hicks. He's a good player. He's a really good player. You know what? Interest of speed, we're going to do that. Steelers draft Jaden Hicks out of Washington State. Ray Davis goes off the board. Christian Jones gone at 143. There you go. There's my dude. Gone. All right. So we've got offensive tackle. We haven't drafted that yet. That probably slipped our thing. We probably should have thought about that. Oh, no, sorry, we did. We got Mims. But the one that we've forgotten through all of this is actually center as we've speed run through this. So I will just quickly roll up the board without ruining the draft again because we've got back-to-back picks. So in terms of the centers and when they went, let's look at it. So we know JPJ went off the board before we picked. Zach Frazier went. So the first center off the board was JPJ at 16. Then Zach Frazier went at pick number 35. So that was before our 2nd round pick anyway. We'd already picked Mims. Cooper Beebe, who can play center, he went off the board at 50. Graham Barton went at 43 again before I picked 52. And then Cedric Van Pran went at 69. So we didn't pick him in the second round because Corley's a better prospect. Then this is really, really what could happen to the Steelers if they don't trade up or down in the first. But anyway, so we do need a center. Bo Limmer out of Arkansas is there. Hunter Nuzard out of Penn State is there. I don't mind Drake Nugent. I don't mind Andrew Rain as well. If you look at guards that could kick inside, I don't know too much about Zach Sinter. I do like him as a prospect. I don't know if he can kick inside though. But he can be an interesting player there as well. So yeah, just factoring in. Yeah, we would need to bring back in Cole. I mean, we could try and see. I think Zach Sinter, I probably could play center. But Spencer Anderson, I think, is also a center option who's obviously on the Steelers roster right now. But we are picking a pick 155 and 156. We do need a linebacker. Trice Knight's available. Zach Sinter's available. We could pick both of these guys and get a linebacker. I also like, but even if we're going to shift Herbig, we never need someone interior. I do like Zach Sinter. He shows up on a lot of tape. Luke McCaffrey's there at wide receiver, so we could go get a second wide receiver. So you guys tell me, who are your two players or two positions that you want? Because we've got pick 155 and we have pick 156. I won't initiate a trade for either of them, or I won't accept a trade for either of them. So you guys let me know in the live chat, and we will pick that player. And yeah, because the Steelers, we've still got needs. We've got center need. We could do with another wide receiver. We could do with a linebacker help. All those things could be really interesting situations for the Steelers if this was their situation later in the NFL draft when they've got a couple of needs that haven't been filled, but they have filled. Yeah, McCaffrey is a bit of a pedigree like the brother pick. I kind of like that idea. He is literally pick 155, so we could go and get him. All right, I'll draft him. So we're picking again. So we can go Trice Knight, we could go Zach Sinter, we could go Keith Randolph Jr., Bogby. We already picked the safety. Gabe Hall, I really like him. The reason why he's so late in the draft is because he's not a 4-3 defensive tackle or defensive lineman. He's definitely a 3-4 defensive lineman. So that's kind of the situation with him there in terms of why he is so late. But yeah, I mean, we've got double wide receivers now. We've picked 2 wide receivers in this draft. We've picked cornerback. We've picked tackle. We've picked DT. We've picked safety. So we've filled a heap of needs, and we still have 3 picks on the board. Yeah, I like Gabe Hall a lot. It's just, do we think he could still be there at 178? Probably. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Trice Knight will be there. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what we want to do. It kind of depends on what the Steelers, see as their needs, or what you guys see as their needs. We talked about tight end. Eric All is still there, but maybe we can get him with 178. Same as Tanner McLaughlin. I like Tanner McLaughlin out of Arizona as well, but we could get him probably at 187. But ranked player, we probably could get him at 180, at 178. So we will go Gabe Hall though, or if there's no other thoughts on that. But yeah, I like him better than Randolph Jr. And I think Bogby is more of the outside rusher. And that's what we're going to be able to do with Fisk. Whereas Gabe Hall could be really put the pressure on guys like Loudermilk. Okay, I'll grab. Yeah, I like that. We'll do that. So we picked Trice Knight, one of my favorite linebacker prospects in this draft after the 3rd, 4th round. Gabe Hall was picked one spot before. I am sorry, JJ. We have been offered 202, 219, 245, and 178 and 208. That's a bad trade. We're not doing that. All right, so if we look at all the picks left, of all the prospects best on the board, Eric All is the best prospect. He is one of my preferred tight ends because you don't have to spend a crazy high pick on him. Zach Zinter's gone. Tommy Eichenberg's there at linebacker, but we already picked Trice Knight. There's a couple of running backs on the board, a couple of edge guys. There's some safeties on the board like Trey Taylor, but we already went and got Hicks. I probably, if I was the Steelers, man, I know how much does that suck? You had literally one spot. That's because we didn't accept their trade in the last draft. But yeah, I'd probably pick Eric All if I'm looking at this right now because the Steelers, we've got 2 wide receivers, got DT, we got cornerback. We did need a tackle, but I mean, there's not like Caden Wallace is probably the best one left on the board out of Penn State. I mean, sorry, we did get Amaris Mims early, but it could do with some help. If we look at center, Drake Nugent's probably the guy left, but we do have pick 208 to go get him. So you want Boyd? All right, we can go pick Boyd. We can definitely go pick Boyd. Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa, 320, 6'2". We can go pick him for sure. If that's who we want to pick. We'll see if Eric All lasts. So Lloyd's got Eric All's gone. Pritchett's gone. It's Ptolemea. Oh, that's such a Ravens pick. That is such a Ravens pick. All right, so we look at offense. The best players on the board are Tanner McLaughlin. Brevin Spann-Ford is from out of Minnesota, tight end as well, has been mocked to the Steelers a lot. Best players on defense. We've drafted a couple of defensive linemen, so we don't really need Juwan Briggs. There's a linebacker on the board out of Washington. Jay Stanley's on the board. Miles Cox is on the board. I don't mind, and he's way down here on this list because he's going to go on the sun. Evan Anderson out of FAU had a really good East-West Shrine Bowl. Bit more of a 4-3 defensive tackle, though, than a 3-4. But he could be a surprise packet. Bub Means out of Pittsburgh. I actually quite like him as wide receiver. He had a pretty good combine as well. But he's a guy, at this point, you're probably going to go get that guy undrafted. We haven't got a center. Andrew Rain out of Oklahoma could be an interesting prospect there. Sam Hartman at quarterback could be a good late round option. Drake Nugent still there on the board. Okay, we can do that. We can do that another time. I'll definitely do one of those drafts. That could be funny. So yeah, it's kind of interesting where they sit right now, but it's probably really deciding between Drake Nugent at 208 and like a Tanner McLaughlin out of Arizona. He's got a relative athletic score of near 8, 244 pounds, 6'5". It's pretty good athletic tight end. Had a good combine as well. He had a good combine. So JJ52, you guys are in for the long haul. Which one of these blokes do you want? Do you want a tight end or do you want a center prospect with our final pick of this mock draft? I will lean into you guys because you guys have stayed with me the whole time. I do like that idea of drafting only the player ones, but then we're going to have to pick probably every pick. Second interesting. JJ52 says tight end. All right, that's what we're going. They're picking Tanner McLaughlin 20 spots after his ranking. There we go. So we wind up this draft, and we should see he's still available on the board. That's why I'm kind of so full results. All right, so let's recap the first round. So Caleb Williams went first, then Drake May, then JJ McCarthy. This is how a lot of mock drafts are falling now. That means that Jaden Daniels falls to Minnesota again. Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Roma Dunze all go in the first top 10 spots. Fashanu and Alt are the first tackles off the board. The next tackle off the board is Fuaga to the Raiders. The next tackle off the board is Amaris Mims to the Pittsburgh Steelers. In round 2, the centers go off the board pretty quickly in Frazier. Van Pran went after our pick, but we picked Malachi Corley, the wide receiver, after he slipped. Then in round 3, Braden Fisk and Mike Sainstiel, we filled cornerback and defensive tackle. We fixed slot corner. A lot of cornerbacks went in this round, so did a lot of DTs. So really important of round 3 that we filled both those spots when there was a run on the positions. We got Jaden Hicks at 120, which a lot of people would consider an absolute steal. Michael Pratt did end up getting picked by the Raiders. That's what we thought would happen when we traded 119 for 120. So that was kind of crazy. Then in round 5, we picked Luke McCaffrey and Trice Knight, so we doubled up on wide receiver to fill that up. We got Christian McCaffrey's brother. We got a really good linebacker. That's really his draft stock is just lower because of the college he went to in Trice Knight. In round 6, we went out there and the Steelers drafted Christian Boyd, the extra defensive tackle. That was that was Daredevil's pick. And we got Tanner McLaughlin as well. We didn't have a 7th round pick. We used that. That's been traded away by the Steelers already. And so the Steelers finish with these 5 guys on the board. I'm going to download that and save that for us for next time to recap. But really interesting there. We filled tackle, we filled cornerback, we filled linebacker, we filled wide receiver, we filled safety, we filled defensive tackle. I said wide receiver already, and tight end. We got another prospect there. Really, the only thing that actually really was a challenge in this here is the center. That was the only problem. Oh, you're still here, George. Awesome. That's fair enough on this cell phone. Yeah. Sorry. It is hard when I do this. I try and zoom in, but then it's also I've got to be able to navigate the screen as well. That's my only challenge when I do this. Jet protein, Proby. I like Sam Hartman, man. I think he's a good player. I just think he did the wrong thing by going to Notre Dame. Not the wrong thing. I just feel like I think it was a tough decision. I thought it would turn out better than what it did. But I do apologize. In the previous draft, we also drafted Braden Fisk. We did get JPJ when we moved that pick at 23. We did go out in the second round, and I think we got a cornerback there. So we had a lot less mid-round picks, but it wasn't necessarily flowing as well. And I think the lesson, apart from me not pressing my back button on my mouse, I think it's a good lesson for the Steelers. The draft can go a number of different ways, and I think using picks to move back, I think using picks in next year's draft is going to be really, really key. So we'll do some more mock drafts as we go into the NFL draft. We've got about 3 weeks really now, in a little bit. We'll do one. I think JJ said it would be really interesting to do one with just like players related to other players. That could be quite cool. Test my draft knowledge. But JJ also said he only wants a 1st or 2nd round center, and I can understand that totally. I can totally get that. Or you just bring back Mason Cole, or you bring back Mason Cole and you sign Connor Williams until his knee injury heals. I know Shannon doesn't want, who I did Global Perspective with, doesn't want Connor Williams. I'm really high on Connor Williams. I think they should look at him regardless of who they draft. But yeah, if this happens, there's definitely some wide receivers that might be cut. But this could be really helpful. You get Malachi Corley and you get Luke McCaffrey. Sorry, you set yourself up for a number of years. Toddy, there you go. That's fine, man. I don't like when we do these mock drafts. No matter who's listening out there, especially if you're not in the live chat, even if you just tell me a position that you really want at it, and I can try and find the prospect. Because remember, these are rankings, right? Like if I do this on NFL Draft Buzz, if I do some PFF, the rankings are going to be different. I just feel over the last 5 or 6 years, I feel like Pro Football Network, because they do their initial rankings at the start of the season when they launch the tool, and then they actually upgrade them kind of the end of the college season with some of the scout prospect things. So that's why Pro Football Network can actually be really good to learn the guys, same as NFL Draft Buzz. But then they also they try and update all the prospects in terms of height, weight, and their profile and strengths and weaknesses for the top 100, 150. They go through that and update the scouting profile after the combine. And so that's why I like it. I feel like PFF, because it's so weighted on who people are picking as users are doing the mock draft. I don't like using that one. But that's why it can be players like Mike Sainstral. He might go in the top 70. Luke McCaffrey probably is a top 120 pick. Malachi Corley could be scraping in the 1st round. Braden Fisk, I don't think you're picking him at 85 in the NFL draft. I think that guy's a top 65, top 70 pick. Trice Knight might fall where he does, but don't be surprised to see him get drafted a lot higher. So that's kind of interesting thing when you do these mock drafts is each platform is different. I think Pro Football Network's one is kind of one of the easier ones. But next time we'll do an NFL Draft Buzz one and we'll see how we go, because also it's different algorithms that people have for these as well. But I just appreciate you guys joining as well. It made it. I really apologize that I stuffed up the first mock draft we did, but I kind of was hoping we'd get through 2 in an hour anyway. It's almost an hour and 15 minutes for the show. So for those of you who listened till then or stayed for the second round or joined us mid round or whatever, I really appreciate it. But yeah, it is interesting, and I think it's highlighted this second draft that we did, and the first to some degree, but more the second one. It's highlighted the reality of the Steelers probably can't get a center and right tackle and fix both those problems in round 1 or 2 unless they move back in round 1 or they move up in round 2. I think that was one of the main points that I was interested to see. But yeah, Marky D posting a video. So after you finish watching this, we're about to wrap it up. Go check that out on Steel Nation Australia. And apparently there's a new moats video too. Cool. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining. Hopefully that ran smoother than last time. There was no technical difficulties that I experienced in my end, except for the fact when I exited myself from the show by hitting the back button on my mouse, but that wasn't internet speed. So to me, this was a success with my new internet trick. And also when we accidentally clicked the tab at the top. But next time we'll try NFL Draft Buzz where it doesn't have any of these sorts of tabs. So that will help on that one. But yeah, interested, if you watch this back, listen to it back, let us know in live chat. Is there one of these picks that you absolutely hated? Is there one you absolutely loved? For me, the idea of getting Mims, Corley, Fisk, Saintsville, Hicks, McCaffrey as your first 6 picks in a draft. Man, I'm taking this every day of the week. I know they didn't feel center, but you can feel that through Cole and you can feel that through Williams together. Yeah, me too, JJ. It's going to be good. Mark and I are working this one out, but we're working out how we can do stuff for both channels. Shannon and I are talking as well about how he can come on without outside of his other commitments. Yeah, both drafts were definitely good. I just think you look at this one, they just feel massive needs. Defensive tackle, defensive line, tick. Wide receiver, tick. Safety, tick. Cornerback, tick. Linebacker, tick. Tight end, tick. Like, I just love it. But yeah, see you all later, Kunzes. And as always, go Steelers.